Hello there, Qckslvrslash here, and today I have a game courtesy of T. Rogers driving their Tier 5 Japanese destroyer, the Kamikaze R. Now, for those of you who don't recognize this ship, it was part, at least on the NA server, it was part of a mission set that existed on the web portal rather than in-game, where in-game damage got you pearls, and then you could use the pearls to buy things. If you got, I think it was 150 total, you got the Kamikaze R, and everything below. So it was an interesting thing Warship tried. I actually enjoyed it. It was a little bit different than just seeing an in-game mission, and you got a good ship. The one thing I don't know is whether with the change of the Japanese lineup coming up shortly, the stats on the Kamikaze R or Fujin, which are both essentially Minikazes, are going to remain the same or potentially change, and I really do hope they remain the same to keep these great torpedo boats in the game without really seeing any changes to their gameplay. Now, the key to driving any of these three destroyers is definitely keep the enemy at arm's length. The guns are not good. You do have 4 of them, so if you get engaged by another destroyer, you can definitely return fire, but it's not like the American destroyers where you want to kind of sit behind the edge of land and lob shells over it. The way you get damage in the Kamikaze R is torpedo soup. You've got 3 double tube launchers and they reload quite quickly, all told. And at this tier, you don't have to worry about hydroacoustics. Well, some ships have it at Tier 5, but for the most part, you don't have to think about hydroacoustics. You definitely don't have to think about radar. So it's kind of relaxing destroyer gameplay almost. Now you see T. Rogers fire off. Now, the aim indicator was locked onto the Nevi, but those were shot nowhere near where the Nevi's aim would indicate, so I suspect those may have been a bit of a glitch in the replay and actually aimed at one of those 2 battleships further back rather than the Nevi itself. But only time will tell as those torpedoes continue forward. Now, the other fortunate thing here is there's 2 aircraft carriers. Other than getting detected for kind of 1 or 2 seconds by some of the fighters overhead, none of the aircraft carriers really seem to be interested in the spotting game, which is definitely a big part of carrier play, is spotting destroyers, just putting a set of fighters or bombers or whatever over top that enemy destroyer, keeping them lit up for your friendlies. Now when Rogers comes around the corner here, he is going to be spotted because he's just inside detection range. So he uses smoke and is slowing up, and you can tell exactly what he's about to do, and that is sit in smoke and throw torpedoes. And while you have the opportunity, why not shoot your guns too? Because he did light a fire there, and maybe that Kaiser is slow enough that they go, oh, fire, hit the repair before these torpedoes show up so that a flood sticks. Fortunately, the Kaiser is smart enough not to do that. Unfortunately for him, he gets wrecked by a set of 3 torpedoes, and there is Rogers' first kill. Still really safe here. The Nevi was last sighted going north, and based on the movements of the enemy ships, they're abandoning the south. So one of the things you'll see happen a lot on this map is that part of the team that spawns up here when their cap's here will just drive through down to the south, and the team that spawns here just drives there. I disagree with this style of play. I really think you need what happened here, where the team that spawned in the north stays in the north and just harasses the cap throughout the game. And the team that spawned down here should have pushed into the cap a bit. They easily had the numbers. They had a cruiser, destroyer, and 2 cruisers, destroyer, and 2 battleships to contest equal ships. So they really could have done it. Now, unfortunately for Rogers there, he didn't lead quite enough with those torpedoes. And that's just a bit of luck. You have to predict what an enemy ship's going to do, and anyone who's played this game knows people do the craziest things and the least expected things. So trying to predict what another player is going to do is nigh impossible, though you can take educated guesses. And right here, I would be aiming a little further to the left, I think. I could be wrong, but... and it's looking like I might be, actually. Definitely am now. From what that Wyoming was doing, it looked like he was pinning himself to have to go this side of an island. But turns out he had just enough space to get turned south. So Rogers' torpedoes are actually in the perfect spot. He's got them right, that last set at least, right on the edge of land. So if that Wyoming tries to turn in and get into land, he is in trouble. No, from the looks of it, he's not going to be alive long enough for the Pedes to get there. So unfortunately, did have a battleship in close, didn't manage to get torpedoes, but there's always some icing on the cake in this game, and in this case, it's a Langley who has not moved from spawn. And this is one of those reasons I don't think the teams that spawn near the enemy cap should abandon, because the carriers so often get left out. Sure, right at the start of the game they could come up and speed and charge to here, but the issue is, you'll get destroyers that come right through this channel and torp anyone trying to run up through the mid-map here. I've seen it happen countless times, and I mean, it's unfortunate for this Langley that didn't see his team was abandoning him and just sat there. But as a result, he's going to be a dead one. One of the interesting things that we'll note now while I think about it, seeing that that Langley's on fire, as Rogers picks up a kill with his guns, is that under the new kind of proposed or leaked or whatever you want to say captain skills that everyone's kind of postulating about right now and guessing what they're going to be, one of the aircraft carrier ones allows you to launch aircraft while your flight deck is on fire. Now personally I don't think this is going to be of much use, because when I drive my carriers I don't want to ever be spotted, let alone shot at. So I don't get lit on fire too much. You know, maybe an enemy torpedo bomber squadron or bomber squadron comes and attacks me, but the single damage control easily takes care of that. But for those of you who haven't seen them, if you go onto Reddit and just search for new captain skills, you can see the tree that was leaked, and it's quite interesting. And Wargaming hasn't said too much about it, only that it's a long ways off. But what I'm really hoping out of it is that it cleans up the understanding of some of the captain skills, because right now the only reason we know how certain things behave, like the, you know, reduced chance to fire and stuff, is because people have data mined it and seen that, you know, it's not an overall, it's a percentage reduction on, you know, the enemy fire chance. So if they've got a 10% chance, it's a 7% of 10%, so 0.7. So I'm hoping that if they do update the skill tree, it is much cleaner and easier to understand, or at least for the majority to understand. You know, I'm willing to spend the time, dig in, really look into builds and what the effect is, but not everyone has that time. The tech tree should be really easy to read and decide how you want to build your captain. The other interesting thing is, as of right now, the iteration I've seen of it coming, there's no tier 5 skills. So if they leave the captains with the same skill points, you're going to have a wider variety of builds, because concealment's a tier 4 on the new thing. And I kind of like that, because right now it seems like a lot of ships only have one build that really works for them, and if you don't do that, you can't be competitive. And look at these torpedoes, at least one of those ships is dead, quite possibly both. Double strike. Firataka eating 2 and the Texas eating 2. Well done, T. Rogers. And he's up to 4 kills now in the enemy cap, and pretty much uncontested. So for the enemy team, all those ships that ran up to the north to defend their base, they certainly have not been doing that. And it does have to be careful here. There are some torpedo bombers nearby. They don't look to be dropping at him though. And, you know, me myself, when I drive aircraft carriers, I can understand that. Quite often it can be hard to get a torpedo in on a destroyer. Just like that. He had lots of time because of how much you have to lead by to dodge, but he didn't see the second set coming in. He is going to eat a Pede. And oh my god, he doesn't take a flooding. He's on 77 health with a Nebney shooting at him. Who's gonna win this gunfight? Fortunately, it's looking like Rogers didn't really get him by. Yeah, that Nebney just could not accurately aim. Rogers picks up the Kraken with 77 HP. And he's got a battleship a couple kilometers away, but he's got to turn to dodge some friendly torpedoes. He's just undetected. Unfortunately, he doesn't have smoke, but you know, things are looking good. And really, this game is in the bag. You can try to guess what you'd like, but the reality is they've got one DD left and a carrier, and the DD is spotted with Rogers firing at him. And all told, 69,000 damage, 7 peds, 6 kills. Great game from Rogers. Unfortunately, didn't send the post game, so I'm going to have to wrap it up here as they cap out and hunt down the carrier. Thank you very much, T. Rogers, for the game. It was really well played. 69,000 damage, 6 kills, as I said. If you guys enjoyed this, consider giving a thumbs up or subscribing to the channel. Both help me out. And as always, I'm Qckslvrslash, and I'll have another one for you guys later. And we'll just watch this till the carrier sinks or they cap out. And I think they're going hunting. Do this a little cinematic for once. And I could not imagine trying to play the game like this. Even if when you went into Zoom you had scope, that would make it so difficult.